Who's ready for some Moto Fite Klub? Yeah! What are you doing here? What do you mean, what am I doing here? This is motocross, dirt bikes. This isn't MMA. Oh, by the way, you punch like a girl. And you even sound like a girl. Not to mention, you're horrible at acting. Just downright just terrible. I think I should announce this segment. He has a groin problem.
I just want to let you know, I was very disappointed that you didn't take out Alessi. I thought that's what we're all here for.
I'm trying to. I'm really trying to.
So I'm back. Some more MX Unfiltered. It's about time, right? At least there's something to talk about with this MX Fite Klub. It's pretty cool. A little bit of trash talking that was going around on the internet.
Want to know how you become the king of hole shots? Drink the king of beers, not like that weak Coors Light RV drinks. Moto Fite Klub is coming May 12th. Tune in.
Between Mike Alessi, Ryan Villapoto, and some other dudes that were involved. We've got some pretty big names here. The nostalgia is absolutely on point. We have Bradshaw, Villapoto, Alessi, Sipes, Wyndham, Pastrana, Weimer, Brock Glover, Jeff Stanton. It was a pretty cool event that was being put on just for a charitable event. I do like how there was no purse. Some of these guys drove 40 hours. Villapoto says he drove 40 hours to get there. They're giving away some bikes, all the helmets to Road to Recovery, goggles for docs. I mean, in a time of need where everyone is stuck at home and racing is just stagnant, it's not going anywhere, this was a pretty cool event to put on. And I'll just cover a little bit of what I thought was interesting about it, and I hope they continue to do this and make it better. So I thought the bracket racing was an extraordinary idea with these legends that are getting up there in their 50s. These guys still know how to rip. I was really, really impressed with Glover and Bradshaw. I mean, Bradshaw in the LCQ got the whole shot and was beating, you know, Villapoto. These guys, you can't say that these champions ever really lose how to go fast. Yeah, the equipment got much better, but the argument is if these guys were around back then, like you take a Ryan Villapoto, you take a Dungey, you take a Stewart, and you put them 20 years ago, or vice versa, you take the Bradshaws and the Glovers and the Stantons and make them in their 20s now in 2020, these guys more than likely would be still winning championships. And it just blows my mind. That would just be epic if you could have all these guys at the same time, same era, see who would come out on top. Where it's one guy versus one guy, felt sort of like a dash for cash, best out of 3 wins, only 1 lap race. That is great. So that you don't get this gnarly arm pump. I mean, you're in bad shape. If you're in bad shape, you're not going out there for a 20-minute moto. The 1 lap, these guys still know how to go fast for 60 seconds or less. So, no pun intended for all the sexual jokes out there. Us old guys. You know, I don't know where I'm going with it. I'm just going to move on. The only guys that are really racing now is Sipes and Alessi. If Alessi is still going to do something with the Canadian Nationals, if and when they're going to happen, or if he's going to race the MX Nationals on a 2-stroke, we'll see. Oh, and speaking of 2-stroke, it was also really cool to see the 2-strokes versus the 4-strokes and see how well they did. It felt like half the time they were getting the whole shots. Yeah, some guys like Pastrana were on 500cc 2-strokes with his RM Zilla, but still, you know, you had Sipes. These guys know how to rip these 2-strokes. Stanton looked awesome on a Honda 2-stroke. I thought the track was awesome. I wish I could ride that track. The track reminded me a little bit of Hangtown with some of the elevation changes and just how fast it was, and a little bit of the terrain as well. It looked like it was a little windy, so the water that they did put down ended up turning into a little bit of dust. But I thought that was good because at a national, they really overwater the track, so it gets really, really deep, rutted. and real bumpy. This sort of seemed like your average local weekend or average local weekday practice, where it's just dry, a little bit slippery. You got some cool sand berms and no ruts on the face of jumps, and it was fairly safe besides just the speed aspect of it. And I love the jumps. The jumps were huge. The big jumps, always fun, and the dirt bikes have gotten so much better with the suspension. I'm sure some of the older champions like Glover and Stanton, those guys, enjoyed having a little bit of big jumps. And, you know, Wyndham was throwing some whips, Pastrana was throwing some backflips, everybody was scrubbing hard. It was actually really fun to watch. For 20 bucks, I felt, because of the nostalgia and what's going on right now with the COVID-19, it was worth your money. The coverage, maybe we shouldn't talk about the coverage, but we're going to anyway. The stream straight up sucked. The Fight TV, I don't know if it was their server or what. I couldn't get anything to stream over 480p, you know, the old CRT resolution. 720 was not even watchable because it would just frame rate, error. It was horrible. And the audio wasn't that good, and then the cameras weren't that good because it was live. But this was the first event that was going on. I expect this to get better as time goes on. But back to the track, they had this real fast triple on stair section that just looked gnarly. I didn't think TV did it justice. If you're there in front of it, casing that thing, we saw Villopoto and some of these guys case it and not really be on the brakes, but kind of popped them almost in an endo-ish sort of trajectory. So I don't know, that looked a little bit intense as far as that track because of how fast it was going there. And it just looked like you had to be wide open. And after the start, it pretty much looked fairly one-liner. There was only one real fast line around the track. Yeah, there's some insides, outsides. Majority of it looked very one-line-ish. Going into this, I pretty much thought that it was going to be Alessi and Sipes that were going to win the whole thing just because they're currently racing. Everyone else is retired. Wyndham, I don't know when the last time he got on a bike. Same thing with Glover, Stanton, and Bradshaw. The guy I was most impressed with was Bradshaw. That dude was hauling butt. And my second would have to be Wyndham. Dude, the guy has always just been silky smooth. And without having the major arm pump, he definitely had the speed.
Kevin is getting slower and slower every time. He's like Popeye. His right arm, his forearm is bigger than his quad. Like it is just, he's like, dude, I need a break. Go to commercial, buy me whatever you can. I mean, he does own Planet Fitness, a whole bunch of Planet Fitnesses, but he definitely does not ride much.
To potentially be top 3 in this bracket racing system. And the whole Alessi and Villopoto.
So I'm hearing a lot of chatter about MFK. What is it? I don't know. We're going to find out here very shortly. Yes, I am sitting in my hot tub having a Coors Light. Travis Pastrana will be there. Myself will be there. Mike Alessi, he's going to be there also. Remember when I took him out? Budds Creek, 2006? Mike, here's your redemption time. Let's get after it.
Alessi really wanted to make sure that he won because he just owned him in little bikes. I got lapped by both of them. They were always pretty much 1-2 at Ponca and Loretta and all mini-O's. I think Villopoto only beat Alessi like twice or something ridiculous. And then they turned pro and it pretty much went the other direction. Villopoto, yeah, it's going to rub him the wrong way because as soon as the gate drops, it becomes race mode. I still think he would much rather have the professional career as the mini GOAT as opposed to being able to say, I beat my rival after we're pretty much both retired, where there's no money on the line, etc. So, it was pretty cool to see Alessi win the whole Fight Club deal. With that being said, I still think he has one-upped Villopoto in the long run, just in the record books. It was cool seeing Pastrana on his YZ490, this old 1980 motorcycle. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. Pastrana, dude, you can't say nothing bad about Pastrana. He's literally one of the baddest dudes, not just on a dirt bike, but ever. The crazy shit that this guy has done and how humble he is at pretty much everything he does is you just can't help but admire and love the dude for it. And he goes out there, backflips YZ 490, some old motorcycle that I've never ridden before. And him and Glover just had a little bit back and forth. He ended up falling down, and Glover kind of waited for him because he knew he couldn't beat Pastrana. Just the whole event just felt fun. Besides the whole RV versus Alessi, that's when things got a little bit intense. And in the LCQ, when RV took out Pastrana, you know, you knew he was fairly serious about trying to win this thing. And if this happens again, I know their rivalry is probably not done completely. The only thing that I think I would change about the event is maybe, obviously, the commentating and the production value, maybe raise that up a little bit. But I understand with their resources, what they were able to do is pretty awesome. And maybe change up the events a little bit, where maybe you have just a start whole shot race, or, you know, a flat track version, or maybe a small little rhythm straightaway. I don't know, a corner track attack, you know, something where you get points for fastest qualifying and then head to head. There's just many different ways you could go about this Fight Club thing. All in all, I was really happy with it. I enjoyed spending my 20 bucks for it. If you guys haven't seen it, I'll put the link in the description below. And guys, let's get back to racing. I miss it. I miss talking shit. I miss it. I really do. I might stay here a while and cry to my green screen. I don't know. Or I might have to kick my ass again to make myself feel better. We'll see. But anyway, this is Johnny Hopper. Till next time, twist it. Oh, that sounds retarded. Just
Yeah, you know, I didn't have the greatest of starts those first ones, and then I pulled a little trick out of Mike's book. I was able to watch the starter's foot a little bit, you know, just pull a fast one on him.